This video is not for tool fans, and if you're looking for a test to see which tool is more than 5% stronger or which battery charges faster than 3 minutes, you can turn off right now, because this ranking has nothing to do with strength. And that's precisely what will make many people dislike it. We don't rank brands based on advertising, specifications, or promises on the box. We rank based on the real experiences of users who use the tool to make money. Which tool won't betray you in the middle of work? Which tool will still be running after 5, 10, or even 15 years? And what tool makes you forget you're holding it because it doesn't cause any trouble? The remarkable thing is, the #1 brand in this video isn't the one with the most marketing or the loudest voice, but it's a name that many workers trust when their livelihoods depend on a machine. Let's get started. DeWalt. If you've ever walked into Walmart and seen a shelf full of dark blue tools at a surprisingly affordable price, you've likely encountered Hart. And no, Hart is not a bad brand. But that's also the first problem. Hart was born to solve a very specific problem: how to sell a tool at the lowest possible price to the largest possible group of buyers. Not for the construction site. It's not for the workers to live off the tools. And for weekend projects, where tools are like consumables, not assets. Technically, Hart is a product of a low-tier OEM, sharing an ecosystem with many other entry-level brands. What does this mean? Imagine you buy an inexpensive folding bike to ride around the park. It works, but if you take it over mountain passes every day, the question isn't whether it will run, but how long it will last. And perhaps no one will tell you this. Hart is not designed to last long. It's designed to be sufficient, affordable, and reassuring in the short term. This isn't bad, but when users, especially those new to the trade, look at the logo, the design, and then expect the durability of a professional tool, disappointment is almost certain. That's why Hart is in this position. It's not because it's bad, but because it's the most easily misunderstood. If you buy Hart with the mindset, "I need a tool to get this job done," and then put it in the garage, Hart fulfills its purpose. But if you expect something from me after 5, 10 years, through thick and thin, through many jobs, you're asking the wrong question to the wrong person. And here's a question for you. Is a cheap tool really cheap if you have to replace it sooner than expected? Let me know in the comments. Have you ever bought a tool just because of the price and then regretted it? Or do you think an entry-level tool is perfectly fine if used in the right place? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see the truths behind the logos. Because right after this, we're going to step up to the next level. A brand that's no longer too cheap, but also not quite enough to put people at ease. If Hart is the affordable tool that knows what it's doing, then Skil and Black are a different story. Two names with a long enough history to make people trust them at first glance. And it's that very belief that makes the current fall hurt more. On the surface, Skil Black is like the tough old man of the tool world, appearing every place, from home garages to supermarket shelves. But when you dig deeper, you'll find a piece that marketing rarely mentions. Many product lines today are optimized for market coverage and price, not for the tank-like durability that many people still assume in their minds. What's noteworthy here is that Skil Black is living off the glory of memories. It's like buying a jacket with a legendary logo, only to find the fabric is now thinner, the stitching more practical, and while it's still wearable, it doesn't have the same feel it used to. In the OEM/ODM era, many tools can look similar because they come from the same manufacturing kitchen, slightly different in materials, quality control, and finishing details. But for the average buyer, it's easy to fall into the illusion, "I'm buying heritage," while in reality, you sometimes only buy a passable item with a name that was once very powerful. Skil Black appear in this position, not because they are bad, but because the gap between expectation and experience is often greater than with other brands in the same price range. The more famous a brand is, the more it has to pay if users feel it's not the same as before. Have you ever bought Skil or Black because of the name, only to feel like it wasn't what you expected? Or do you think they're perfectly fine for DIY? If you like this kind of peeling back the truth behind logos, remember to subscribe to the channel. And right now, we're going to move on to a brand in 6th place, no historical glory, but very popular for a very practical reason: the value received compared to the money spent. If Skil Black Plus Decker is a story of past glory, then Ryobi is like another investigative profile, a brand that doesn't try to be luxurious, but survives extremely well in real life. And the first question is, why does a brand that is criticized as being average have such a significant number of loyal users? The clue lies where Ryobi appears most: Home Depot. This isn't just a shelf, it's the gateway to millions of weekend projects. Ryobi understands its role. Don't play the part of a professional craftsman. Just be a good tool for those who need to get the job done. Ryobi wins because of honesty. They don't sell you the dream of a harsh construction site. They sell you a feeling. Open the box, and you can get the job done. Just like a typical pickup truck. Not the fastest, not the most luxurious, but it starts up and runs, can haul cargo, fix your house, and you don't have to worry about a minor scratch. And in an era where the battery platform is an invisible lock, Ryobi is playing a very practical move, keeping the battery ecosystem stable and broad enough so that users aren't drawn into the cycle of constant upgrades like a phone every year. You can buy additional tools one by one, just like collecting Lego pieces, slow but steady. When you transition from DIY to professional work, the standards change. Downtime is no longer an inconvenience, it's money falling out of your pocket. Ryobi might satisfy you, but it rarely makes you exclaim, "This is the pinnacle." It's okay. And sometimes okay is the limit of the segment. Which team are you on? Ryobi is good enough. No need for frills. Or if you're buying, go for the pro version. Comment so I can read it. And remember to subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of value breakdown behind the logo. And right now, we'll move on to the next position. A name that evokes memories just by hearing it, but also makes many people both love and regret. There are brands that don't need advertising. Just mentioning the name brings to mind the old garage, the smell of engine oil, and the tool sets passed down from father to son. Craftsman used to be like that. And that's why, when talking about the modern craftsman, this story feels more like an investigative report on the fragmentation of heritage than a typical tool review. The first clue lies in the word modern. Today's craftsman is no longer the craftsman of a few decades ago. The brand has changed ownership, production model, and market approach. This isn't bad, but it creates a very dangerous gap. User expectations remain in the past, while the product is living in the present. The users are not angry. They are regretting it. It's like meeting an old friend after many years. The face is still the same. The name is still the same, but the eyes are different. Modern tool craftsmen can still do the job, and it still looks good on paper. But for many longtime users, the feeling of durability to pass on has turned into a feeling of uncertainty about the future. When delving into customer feedback, a recurring concern consistently emerges: platform batteries, replacement components, and long-term consistency. You can buy the tool today, but what about 5 to 7 years from now? Is the battery still good? Are spare parts easy to find? Or do you have to change the entire ecosystem, like changing a lock, just because you lost the key? Clearly, Craftsman is not a bad choice, but it's also not certain enough to make people feel comfortable placing long-term bets. Modern craftsmen stand in the gray area, where memory pulls people in, but reason keeps them at a distance. If a brand was once synonymous with childhood and trust, would you be willing to give them a second chance, or do you need more than just a name? Please leave a comment sharing your experience with Craftsman. And right now, we'll move on to 4th place, a very skilled and precise technical brand, but one that faces problems in an unexpected area: its battery ecosystem and presence in daily life. If Craftsman is a story about a broken legacy, then Bosch is more like a CNBC-style investigative report, a company with genuine technical capabilities, but for a very market-driven reason, they are not the name that most people hold in their hands every day. The first piece of evidence lies in the feel. Bosch often gives you a sense of precision. Neat, solid in your hand, operating with the discipline of a Swiss watch. In categories requiring precision, Bosch is like the quiet engineer, unassuming, but working cleanly and coherently. And that's why they stand this tall, no shorter. But then came the second clue. And this might be the point that surprises you. Bosch makes very good tools, but they're not always the tools that most people rely on every day. In the cordless world, where battery platforms are like passports to navigate dozens of different machines, Bosch doesn't capture the minds of users as much as the ecosystems that are heavily present in stores, construction sites, and tradespeople. You can compare this to a Michelin-starred restaurant on a quiet street corner. The food is delicious, but if you need a quick meal every day, you'd choose a more convenient chain store. And when it comes to rankings, I see a recurring sentiment among customers. They respect Bosch, but few are willing to bet their lives on their battery systems. Why? Because for experienced tradespeople and DIYers, the question isn't whether this machine is good, but rather, can I buy 10 other items with this battery as easily as buying milk at the supermarket? When I'm in a hurry, can I find batteries, chargers, and accessories anywhere? So, fourth place is a very fitting position. Bosch is reliable technically, but not the top choice for the mass cordless ecosystem. Question for you: do you see Bosch as a hidden gem worth owning? Or is it too good, but not convenient for the long term? Let me know in the comments. And now things are starting to heat up. Third place goes to a brand that many people describe with a phrase that sounds like criticism, but is actually the biggest compliment in the industry. It rarely disappoints me. If Bosch is the technical gem in the shadows, then DeWalt is like a CNBC financial report. No frills, no drama, but the numbers are very solid. You walk onto any construction site, look around, and chances are you'll see yellow and black somewhere like traffic signs. Not pretty to look at, but present because they're necessary. And here's an interesting detail. DeWalt rarely wins in competitions for who's the strongest or who has the coolest features. But it won in something that professional craftsmen highly value: the ability to appear at the right time, in the right place, and function exactly as expected. Need batteries? Easy to buy. Need to charge? Easy to find. Need to replace accessories? Available? DeWalt is like a 24/7 convenience store chain. You don't love it for the romance. You love it because it doesn't leave you stranded. What makes DeWalt interesting is that the brand's greatest strength doesn't lie in its motors, but in the breadth of its ecosystem. Imagine it like this. Choosing DeWalt is like choosing a popular operating system, not because it's the coolest, but because when you need something urgently, you don't have to run around like you're looking for a rare charging cable. However, DeWalt also has a drawback that prevents it from ranking number 2 or number 1, the feel of using it for long hours. Many people praise its durability, but others criticize it for being rough, heavy, and not as comfortable to hold as some competitors. And in this profession, ergonomics isn't about luxury, it's about whether your body can handle 8 hours a day. Therefore, DeWalt cannot rank first. Although it rarely disappoints users, it also rarely wows them. Question for you: do you prefer an understated but stable brand, or do you want a tool that's both powerful and comfortable to use? Let me know in the comments. And now, we move on to the runner-up position, a brand that might overwhelm you with its power, but also makes many people sigh due to something very sensitive: trust over time. If DeWalt is a 24/7 convenience store, then Milwaukee is like an investigative report on a brand that is both passionately loved and the brand that makes people sigh the most. It's not because it's weak, on the contrary. Milwaukee often wows users from the very first squeeze of the trigger. But that wow hides a more dangerous question. After a few years, do you still believe in it like you did on day one? The number one clue lies in what Milwaukee does best: power and ecosystem expansion. They appear dense, market extremely sharply, and always give the impression that this is a tool for professionals. Holding a Milwaukee tool in your hand is like revving the engine of a muscle car. The roar makes you confident, and sometimes overconfident. But then came the second clue, And this is what makes this ranking controversial: a large capacity battery. From user experience, there are cases where 8AA, 12AA batteries don't charge fully as expected, drain quickly when connected to heavy load devices, and warranty replacements can leave you waiting for weeks. For the workers, those few weeks were like going to work with a car that kept breaking down on the way. You still got there, but every day you lost more time and got more frustrated. Next is ergonomics, something that marketing can't fix with slogans. Some people like the feeling of being grounded, but others say, frankly, it gets tiring after a while, especially when you hold the tool as if it were part of your arm for 8 hours straight. So, Milwaukee is ranked second, not because of a lack of strength, but because their long-term belief has been dissected the most over time. The phrase I keep seeing repeated, a kind of bittersweet love, is "I love Milwaukee, but I don't believe like I used to." Question for you: when you need to make money, do you choose the strongest or the most reliable? How to share a true experience. And remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see the #1 spot, a brand that is quiet, doesn't need to shout, but still makes many people bet on it for a decade. And now for the most important moment: who is the first, and why will so many people be surprised? If Milwaukee is the roaring muscle car on the street, then Makita is like a workhorse truck that does heavy-duty jobs every day, no flash, no show, but it starts up every morning and keeps running for a decade. And that's why, when opening the audience comments section, the name that appeared had a very strange tone. Not excited, but confident. The first clue lies in what obsesses the Craftsman the most: batteries. People tell stories that sound like legends, but they are repeated by many different people. Batteries still run for 10-15 years, and some people say they only change the battery when it's too old. There are even stories of batteries and tools being submerged in water for 48 hours, then dried and used again as if nothing had happened. The kind of survival gear you only see in items truly made for work, not for taking pictures. But if it were just about durability, Makita wouldn't necessarily be in this position. The second surprise is what brands often overlook: ergonomics. Many viewers describe Makita with very down-to-earth words. Fits like a glove. Doesn't tire after long use. In the world of tools, that's not a light compliment. It's a life-saving kind of compliment, because if you hold a machine for 8 hours a day, the grip feels like choosing a pair of shoes. Beauty isn't as important as being comfortable for the long haul. Then there's the third clue: little downtime. Makita doesn't make you say wow every second, but it keeps you from having to stop. And for someone who makes a living with tools, that's money. The fewer the glitches, the less you have to change batteries, the less you have to run out and buy them urgently. The smoother your work flows, like an assembly line. Therefore, Makita is ranked first, not because it is the strongest, but because it disappoints users the least. Here's a question for you. Do you choose the wow feeling when you pull the trigger? Or do you choose the peace of mind of knowing it will still work in 10 years? Let's share our real experiences and subscribe to the channel if you want me to continue the ranking series by profession, carpenter, electrician, or DIY. And if you want an even bigger twist, the question isn't which brand comes first, but which brand is best for your work. Finally, this ranking is not intended to declare who is right and who is wrong. It simply reflects a truth that is often overlooked. The best tool is not the most powerful one, but the one that best suits how you work and live with it every day. Some people need maximum strength. Some people need a durability of 10-15 years. Some people just need to finish their weekend tasks. And no choice is wrong if you understand what you're giving up. Now it's your turn. What brand are you using? Which brand do you trust the most over time? And which brand would you never buy again? Please leave a comment, because real stories from you are always more valuable than any advertisement. If you like the post logo, no fanboy, no frills type of analysis, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss the next rankings by profession, by need, and by real life. This video is based on a synthesis of user experience, public data, and independent analysis. No sponsorship or brand promotion is allowed. Experiences may vary depending on the user. usage conditions, and market. Because in the world of tools, the most important question isn't who's number one, but who's number one for you.